Hi folks, Puffin here with your Antifa News Briefa for September 5th, 2021. This edition is about eugenics and on the media. I'm listening to On the Media, a NPR radio program, and their guest was Lulu Miller, who is an author who wrote the book Why Fish Don't Exist. And when I turned it on, they were talking about eugenics, which is an evil Nazi practice. But as it turns out, when I turned it on, they were explaining how the Nazis got it from Americans. That Americans started eugenics, we were the first country to legalize it. Just in short, eugenics is racist, or not just racist, but bigoted white supremacist stuff about sterilizing people, preventing people from having kids, trying to keep certain populations from continuing because it's genocide. So, and they did this. America engaged in this practice for lots of different people for lots of different reasons. And she even mentioned a Supreme Court case back in the 20s or 30s where it's 8-1 that they should be able to sterilize people. So just the country was completely wrong. And the Nazis took it from America and said, hey, we've got a friend in America doing this, when they started doing it and their versions of it. And I didn't hear the whole program. That's when I tuned in. They had other stuff to say about classifying things and how classifying things in general can certainly lead to dangerous and bad things, but even just the basic classifying of things based on presumptions people have instead of, more scientific classification. And even that gets murky and complicated and filled with bias. So, it was an interesting thing. I didn't hear the whole program, so I'm not sure if they mentioned, but it made me think, weren't they mostly sterilizing women too? Isn't misogyny an essential part of the whole eugenics program? Maybe they were sterilizing some men too, but I always hear about them sterilizing women. So it makes me think of how central misogyny is, an anti-feminine, anti-nature, anti-life, all this Nazi fascism stuff is. And that we still have it around. You have it around in America, and then the Taliban in America and the Taliban in Afghanistan and stuff now. The problem with the sexism, you can detect that sexism in all of their policies. So even if they're not sterilizing people, the sexism is still there. So we still have residuals of that same type of stuff. And then it makes me think Britney Spears is a residual of the same type of stuff. She's not permanently sterilized, but as long as they maintain it, it might as well be permanent. It's the same thing, and it's misogynistic and oppressive and fascist. And we wouldn't even, as popular as Britney Spears is, we wouldn't even know about it if it hadn't been for her challenging her conservatorship recently in the courts. So it's been going on for years and decades, and we wouldn't even know about it. So it really calls into question how much we've gotten away from this stuff, or how we've just transformed it into other forms, because people do still get sterilized, and what happened to Britney Spears happens to a lot of other people that we don't know about. And it makes you think how evil this stuff is still embedded in our culture and society, and in certain people, they're very outspoken about it and terrible about it, and we need to challenge that and stop it. So maybe hear the rest of that interview. Again, the show was called On the Media. They did a good job of tracing how the eugenics had started and gone full-blown in America, and then the Nazis adopted it. And she also mentioned that some of these people who are responsible for it in America are still honored in statues and, halls and whatever, schools named after them and stuff. And we should really address that history and face up to it, because as bad as we should know the Nazis were, and always talked about we knew the Nazis were, these Trumpers Republicans have kept it alive. After 70 years, after everybody's saying this is the most shameful thing you can be, they've decided to keep those ideas alive. And honestly, to be truthful about it, America was the first one to put those ideas out there, or to legitimize them with the government. So the whole Nazism that's come home to roost in America now under Trump really started in America before Hitler. And we need to root it out. It's the worst thing, not only in America, it's the worst thing in the history of the earth. Because white supremacy and that type of thing has always been behind colonialism, empires, and all the recent wars of the last centuries. So it's time to cut it out and start working to get along instead. Thanks for watching your Antifa News Briefa. And let me know if you hear that video, let me know in comments what you think. But also if you hear that the rest of that story, if they do mention the sexism of eugenics, or if they even mention Britney Spears, I'd be curious to hear. But to me, it's sad that we don't highlight that when that's obviously a huge part of the problem. And that sexism is rampant in these terrorist communities, not just the Taliban, but the incel, manosphere, Trumper community online too. And you can see it in all the comments of people who try to troll my videos. So thanks for watching, and feel free to respond to those people or not. If you like to comment, I love to have intelligent conversations. So look forward to those with you too. Thanks. See you soon.